Welcome to the podcast for real-life heroines. Let's embark on a journey that unveils the extraordinary stories of everyday women who redefine what it means to be a heroine or hero. Life is a tapestry of inspiration and magic, and today's episode is no exception. Here's your host, Susanna Liller.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of the podcast for real life heroines. I'm Susanna Liller, and I get to interview women about their heroine's journey, about a time when they answered a call to do something bigger than what they had been doing. And as a result, they got bigger. They left their comfort zone, answered a call. That's being a heroine. And what a thing that I get to talk to people about that. And today I get to talk to somebody that I've known for a while and respect greatly, Libby Margolis-Pineo. Welcome, Libby.
Hi, Susanna. It's good to be here.
Thank you for doing this with me and being my guest. And I want to read your bio, which I think is just, I don't know, it's just so you, the way you wrote this. Libby's business, she has a business called Margolis-Pineo Italia. And here's her paragraph that she sent me. I enjoyed a free-range childhood in an old Italian neighborhood that smelled like pizza at dusk. If you don't know what I mean, drop into McCucci's around noon. McCucci's is in Portland, Maine, and take a whiff. At age 18, my father took me on his version of a grand tour through Europe, which included Italy's greatest hits, Rome, Florence, and Venice. I was a goner, and I have spent the rest of my life finding ways to return. Work has been the magic, making every mistake in the book and being fearless when necessary. Ah, Libby, you have done it. And I know when we talked about ahead of time about what we were going to talk about, we mentioned that fear had been something that you had conquered, that you are fearless. And when I talk with heroines, I mean, that's a big piece of the heroine's journey is conquering fear, getting past it, because you get this calling and you want to do it, but oh my gosh, all kinds of things come to mind and people warn you. And so how did you do it? How have you conquered fear?
Well, we started very slowly, just buying, because our daughters were of a certain age and they were all getting ready to go off to college one at a time, every few years, boom, boom. And we knew my husband is also an avid traveler. And we knew that we'd never be able to travel again if we didn't work out a business. I'm not afraid I've reinvented myself maybe 4 or 5 times. And so we said, what the heck? And we started buying things like lamb's wool wraps and scarves on the street. You know how they have open markets, you've seen them.
Yes.
And we bought a bunch and we'd take them home. And I was working at the time with Dory Waxman, who had a place called, oh shoot, she used to make those capes.
Okay.
Anyway,
Yes.
I worked with her. I was doing her advertising work, and I said, hey, I've got a bunch of scarves and things. Would you like to see them? Beg. And she said, sure, let's take a wax. So she started carrying the few things that we were able to bring back, and we bought them retail, not wholesale. We were just making our way. And I remember sitting with David on the Tiber River on a bench with the yellow pages. Do you remember yellow pages?
I do. They were really like big.
Yes.
You could sit on them and be taller.
It
Yes.
was the same in Italy. And if you found yourself a big old yellow pages, you could look up everything. And we basically started going by the labels in the garments. And we found ourselves a wholesaler in way down at the edge of the city. That was a little dangerous. I mean, I still have fears. I have fears of, personal danger. but I'm not afraid of starting something new. And that's sort of where we began, on a bench by the river with the yellow pages.
So that was your moment. That was your, okay, I've been doing this. I know you were doing graphic design because you helped me with that wonderfully.
Thank you.
And so you and David had this moment, this could be a business.
Oh,
We
yeah.
we could seriously do this.
Let's just see what happens.
Okay.
I
And
mean,
so,
it wasn't a great moment, like, oh my God, I'm going to cure some disease or something. That would have been really wonderful. But we just sort of moseyed our way into it. A couple of knuckleheads just moseyed our way in.
and how long ago was that moment,
It was
roughly?
around 2000.
Okay.
It's like
So I
1990.
know that you have been doing this sort of in a pop-up style. And
Yes.
I think you talked about Micucci's, which is an Italian grocery store. You were upstairs from Micucci's selling your
Yes,
beautiful, yeah,
once a year, we
yeah,
do a big pop-up in their third floor room. That's really pretty much like a bowling alley, it's empty. And they
right.
had a bunch of folding tables. I guess they had, I don't know what they had up there. And they said, sure, because we started actually doing it in our house. We had a big old Victorian in the Deering neighborhood back then, and we do it in our home for our friends. Started small, just baby steps. And then when we were building this house here up on the hill, we didn't have anywhere to do it. And I was, as you said, in graphic arts then, so I was using Dale Rand printing a lot. And his son-in-law said, hey, why don't you do it at Micucci's? I
Mhm.
mean, why not? I didn't, sure. So then we did it at Micucci's, and we got bigger and bigger. And then we did more than pop-ups. And by the time we got up here on the hill, I think it was 2018. That's sort of a fast forward, but really starting slowly. And around 2018, we started selling wholesale, seriously, online. We had been selling wholesale to a wonderful store in Brunswick, sold a lot to them. And now, of course, I can't remember the name of it. Weilers.
Yes, they're
They
still,
had a great selection.
I think they
Yeah.
might not be there anymore. I'm not
No,
sure.
they didn't. They
Yeah.
decamped to Costa Rica.
Ah, there you go.
But they helped me a lot because they told me people don't have sales reps anymore. People sell wholesale online.
Hmm.
And they told me where to go and what to do. So I did it.
Hmm.
And it worked.
So small step at a time. And so
Small
this
and
is
making
so,
so many mistakes.
yeah. So
Right?
because you talk about that too. You talk about you're not afraid of making mistakes. So give us an example of what's a mistake.
Ooh, I'll give you a nice big one. How about
Okay.
that? My
Okay.
husband David and I are very, very brave and creative, but we don't really sweat the small stuff very well. And we're not that detail oriented because, sometimes when you're young and dumb, you just, and the US Customs is not to be messed around with.
Okay.
You really don't want to mess with those guys.
Take note. Okay.
Yes, that's a big one. And and then they're the sort of the ugly stepsister of Homeland Security. So you seriously don't want to mess with those guys.
No.
And we were ignoring the rules for a while. We just didn't, I mean, they don't send you a note and say, hey, the rules are going to change. Watch out. You're just supposed to learn it on
Right.
your own, like we
Right.
learned everything else. And all of a sudden, we found out the hard way that you weren't allowed to hand carry commercial goods into the country. We used to do it all the time. We had these enormous suitcases, like a hockey goalie would carry his equipment. You know what I mean? Those big rolling ones.
Right. Right.
And it was fine because we had paperwork and everything was documented and perfect. But all of a sudden, boom, the rules had changed and we didn't know it. And so David and the goods were detained in Dublin
Oh,
by customs. Yeah, that was no fun. And then it happened again the year, because once you get on the bad boy list, it takes 5 years to get off it.
oh my gosh.
And
And
so sometimes when
detained,
we
what did
we
detained mean?
detained means they keep you overnight. It's
Oh,
not jail exactly, but you
okay.
cannot leave. You can't go out into the parking lot and put a match to the suitcases if you're really scared. I mean, you really can't do anything.
Yeah.
until you work it out with those guys.
Hmm.
And they're technically allowed to keep the stuff. They didn't have to give it back. So,
So they were good to you, sort of.
ugh, yes, terrified me. And my husband was really funny and gallant at that moment. He said, I see no reason my wife should be detained. Oh, I got to go home.
Oh,
You should be sprinting onto the plane.
that's really good.
It was pretty great.
He
But it
was
was,
a hero. Yes. Oh
yes.
my
But
God.
so stuff like that didn't
So,
happen often, but enough so that you have to really pay attention.
so, keeping track of what people listening can learn from this. So being fearless for one thing.
But don't be stupid.
Yeah, so take small steps, but also at the same time paying attention to the details, what you need to be doing, what you need to be paying attention to so you don't get detained anywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Huh. So you earlier, well, your father, you said you had a free range childhood, and you had told me that your parents divorced early. And
Yes.
and then you said quickly after that, you said, but that was a good thing. And I think somehow that contributed to your free range childhood, which was, can you say more about that?
Sure. I was a travel writer too. The two things dovetail together, the Italian thing, the travel writing. And I think having divorced parents, this might sound really daffy, but having divorced parents, you learn at a very young age to find something you love wherever you are.
Hmm.
Because if you go through your life, I don't like the meatloaf, there. I want my mom, that stuff. I trained myself as a child, not to miss people, because you know they're going to be there when you, but also I trained myself to really find things to love wherever I was.
Hmm.
And that was pretty cool.
That's very cool.
Mhm.
I want to, so your travel blog is epicurioustravelers.com.
Yes.
And and so one thing is I looked at it recently, and in May, and I'm going to pronounce this incorrectly because I don't speak Italian, but you were in Cernobbio. Is that how you pronounce
Chernobyl.
it?
Chernobyl.
Cernobbio.
Chernobyl.
Cernobbio. And so there are photographs. It looks like I mean a little slice of heaven. And
Yeah.
then I want to just read how you talk about in the about us in your travel blog, because it's just wonderful.
Thank you.
You say, oh, so okay. I know my way around a tasting menu. I've attended countless wine, sake, and beer tastings. I love all things brunchy and boozy. I've mashed ripe Tuscan figs into my mouth straight from the tree, ordered poutine well past midnight in Montreal, and will eat the skin of just about any roasted animal, especially pig. Despite all that, the word foodie will never appear on this site. Next up, who knows? So that is just so you, Libby. And I just have to say, poutine, just explain to people who might not know what poutine is, please.
Poutine is sort of one of the native foods of Montreal. It's a very multicultural place, so that's probably a dumb thing to say, but poutine's everywhere. It's really the best hangover food you can ever think of. It's French fries and cheese curds and some really tasty gravy, sort of. It's fantastic.
Yeah. I'm
And
telling
it'll also kill you.
it's the restaurant right near me um in Woolwich, Maine, has poutine, and I have never tried it, and I can't imagine how it would be good hangover food ever, except unless you needed to, at any rate. But so I think that gives people a little sense of you in this Epicurious Travelers blog, and you described Chernobyl, and it's near Lake Como in the Tuscan hills. It sounds, yeah, wonderful.
It's not Tuscany. It's not.
Ah,
It's north.
okay,
It's up toward Switzerland,
okay.
which is nice for me because I have a friend in Zurich. Um, But Chernobyl is great in the way that cities that are really lovely have old people, schools with little kids, noise of people. It's not fussy. It's a place where people really live. You
Mm.
know, I love Venice. I love Rome. But this place feels more, if you're going to be in a place for 2 months, which we were, you want to be in a place that feels neighborhoody and alive. In
Yeah.
fact, in our apartment, our very modern, cool apartment, uh, next door to us was a school
Hmm.
for little kids. So you would have the noise of the children, and you'd see the old people doing their passeggiata in the evening, walking down the street, holding arm in arm. There were dogs, pets, you know what I mean? It was
Yes,
a real place.
it
And
sounds
we loved it.
great. Yeah.
Thank you.
And am I right in thinking you go there every year now, or is that a winter thing?
Yeah, we have centered on Como for the last few years. It's Tuscany and Como where our business is. We used to have a lot more, like one year we imported some pottery from, way down south in the Capri sort of area. But now we mostly focus on the north. I think part of it is because we're older now and things are a little more organized in the north. You understand that what the rules are. Because I remember as a young person being delighted, like in Sicily or Naples, where you'd be there and you had no idea what was going on. You had no idea what the rules were. And that was okay back then. It was exciting, but not so much now. It's a
Right,
little more comforting
right.
to be in that.
But how nice that you have found that spot. So I feel the need to talk more about your business and what exactly are you bringing into the country and selling wholesale? And I have to say that I'm wearing one of your famous cashmere ponchos in
Yes.
my color for sure. And I don't know if the Italian ladies would drape it quite the way I've draped it, but it's very warm. And
Okay.
and so again, from your website, you talk about it's funny because on your Margolis-Pineo Italia website, if you look into about us, it's all about the wares that you sell. It's not about you, but
Mhm.
we've been talking about you. So what
Yep.
you say about your wares is it's Ciao Bella style,
Mm.
Italian style. You talk about it as Italian warmth for Maine winters, responsibly sourced, 100% Italian. And this is where I got small factories in the Tuscan hills around Lake Como, natural and recycled fibers, recycled cashmere. So I think this is recycled cashmere. No, this is
No, that's a blend.
okay.
I find the blends are very friendly.
Okay.
100% cashmere is really lush and soft and wonderful. But these blends, like you're wearing and I'm wearing, they're much more robust and they can take a beating. And
Okay.
actually, you shouldn't tell people this, but
Okay. Well,
you can hand wash, if you
oh,
get tomato sauce, right? You can actually, take the corner of these and just under your faucet.
okay. All
So
right.
I mean, I like these blends, on an everyday level.
Well, it's very soft. And so, well, why don't I let you talk about what you have? And I know that you have some items behind you that maybe you would just show us,
I will.
please.
Okay. I have miles and miles and piles of wonderful pieces that, oops, if you want to be the only gal at the party who's wearing this thing, you should come see me because some of these things are just amazing.
Oh,
It's like a
oh,
painting on your back. And
are they
it's
hand
marvelous.
painted?
Or you can wear it as a scarf, because it's like a travel scarf. You can just wrap yourself in it,
Mm.
you know, that. And I love these pieces and they're light, sort of for summer. This has a touch of silk. It's a new combination for us. And we do some things that have, because modal, that's an eco fabric made out of beech trees. So
Okay.
this thing, I wish you could feel it. It's smooth because it's mostly modal with a tiny bit of silk makes it just ooh la la.
Mm.
It's
And it's
fantastic.
hand painted, Libby?
No, these
No.
are printed. I think
Printed.
it's amazing.
It's
Ta-da.
beautiful. It's
They're
beautiful.
gorgeous. And they
And
come in teal and all, this is a sort of beigey one, but they come in teal and like a deep eggplant with that beautiful painting on it.
gorgeous.
And then, because you and I wear these all the time.
Yes.
This is a staple. But we have some things that you can pair with them or just put on your overcoat.
Mm.
After the COVID, everybody got sort of depressed. And so we have a lot of these sort of floral
Yeah.
things now
Well,
that are super great. Yeah. And super designy. And then we have some sort of Marimekko style florals for those of us who aren't into the punchy flowers. They're just
Mm.
great. Great
They're
designs.
very nice.
Thank you. But our product is basically poncho base. That's our base. Just
Okay.
these ponchos. And they're fantastic. I love my product.
And Libby, when you say, if you want to feel it, come see me, or, so where do people find, I know they go online. They go online to margolispineo.italia.com.
And they can buy retail, as you did,
Yes.
through Etsy, or they can buy wholesale if they're a shop through
Okay.
Fair, or they can come ask to visit at my studio,
Which is in Portland, Maine.
which is, yes, it's in Portland, Maine. It's pretty large and
Mhm.
filled with all the goodies.
Right, right. So we're going to put all that in the show notes so that people have that
Yeah.
down. Um, it surprised me when we were talking earlier and you said you weren't Italian. So you don't have an
Oh,
Italian blood droplet in your whole body.
nope. But you know what?
What?
When I went to Italy with my dad, those many, many years ago, it got so under my skin that, as I said, I spent, 25 years figuring out ways to go back. And then when we realized we couldn't afford to be tourists anymore, we had to make a business. So I took Italian in college because that was part of my master plan. So I know enough Italian to make my life tolerable in a foreign country. And I also know enough Italian to be dangerous. I can say things like, well, I can do the whole gamut. My husband's fallen and can't get up, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or I need a Band-Aid, please.
Right.
Where's the bathroom? All that stuff. But I also can say, if I buy 25, can I get them cheaper?
You can negotiate.
Yeah, I can't really discuss a film or a book very well. I don't have nuanced Italian, but I have enough Italian to make my way around. And I love speaking it.
Mm. Well, it's very sexy, as you know. And yeah, so you've just sort of immersed yourself in that wonderful culture, but you also have a foot still in the wonderful culture of Maine.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
you find when you say warm clothes for Maine winters, have you found a population that really likes your work and your clothing, your
Yes.
ponchos? Yeah,
Yes. We sold to a lot of Maine shops, first of all. I think our tagline and our little hang tags get to them. They say Italian warmth for Maine winters.
right.
A little tagline. That's a good one. So the Maine shops like selling our stuff. I have a shop in Blue Hill, Camden. I work with Jill McGowan here in Portland. And I have a policy so that I don't sell to more than one shop in a zip code. So like if Jill McGowan's my girl here, that's it. You know what I mean? And if
Yeah,
she kicks me out, then I'll go looking.
right.
But people tend to just find me through the wholesale.
Yeah.
And I have 2 pop-ups a year.
Hmm. And
A
one
summer
is
pop-up.
coming up. So let's talk about,
Yes, a
so when is
holiday
that?
pop. It's going to be this year. It's a little later than usual because Thanksgiving's sort of on the late side. So we're doing it December 5, 6, 7, and closing on the 8th. Here in
In your,
Portland.
in your studio on top of
Nope.
McCoochie's? Where's it going to be?
Nope. We've outgrown both of those venues. So now we have this marvelous friend who gives us his house for the weekend that we do the sale. He's rarely home. He works in the theater, so he's usually not there. But even if he is there, he's a graceful, generous spirit. So we're doing it at his place on Munjoy Hill.
Wow.
Yeah,
And you just hang things up everywhere and pile it up and people just
yeah,
walk around the house and
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
wow.
We
And
have racks, store racks that we set up, and
and
it's great.
what time will you be open during those days?
Oh, well, they can find all that on my website.
Okay.
We do an evening opening for the first night where we get totally slammed because nobody wants to miss anything. So that first 2 hours in the evening are, you feel like you've been beat up, but it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And then we're open all day Saturday and all day Friday and all day Saturday, and a little window on Sunday. But we don't really do much then.
You know how I was saying at the beginning that when you answer a call to do something that seems bigger than what you've been doing, and it's always like a passion type of thing that kind of speaks to your heart. And as a result, you grow from it. How would you say you've grown from this whole 24 years of taking these small steps and then how have you grown?
Well, I've grown to learn that you really can do. You can do if you go, slowly and don't rush and don't be taken in by, I don't know, fads or bad advice or, whatever, or open a shop when you don't need to. That's the big thing.
Uh,
Because I get to do this on my own terms. This is mine. You know what I mean? And so it's been a marvelous sort of affirmation from the universe that you can do it.
mm.
You can do it. I
And
think.
so that's perfect. And and so maybe you've already answered what I always ask is my final question. And my
Okay.
final question is, people have been listening, they're going to be hearing all of this, and boy, people are busy nowadays, might be hard to take it all in. So if they only remember one thing that you've said, you
Mm,
want them to remember what?
you can do it.
Yeah, yeah.
You can do it.
That's
Just don't be dumb. Go do it. And don't wait either. Like,
right,
oh, maybe we
right,
should wait till, no,
right,
just go at it, but
right.
do it slowly. And if you make a mistake, so what? That's cheaper than graduate school. That's what I say.
Yeah, so having known you and worked with you in the past as you helped me with my work, I remember going to your big house and looking I remember going to McCoochie's. I remember you taking things up Route 1 and trying to get shops to, I remember as you were going
Yeah,
the small steps, and I just am I'm just so taken by where you are and look what you've done. And
thank you.
just congratulations to you and your husband.
Thank you.
And people should definitely look at your Epicurean, am I saying it right?
Epicurious Travelers.
Epicurioustravelers.com.
Yes.
Everybody will want to go to Italy and every place that you've been as a travel writer in yet another life, because it's wonderful. And as I read the bios for both sites, obviously you are a terrific writer.
Thank you.
So, yeah, so I just am very grateful that we had time to talk today and that you agreed to be my guest.
It was my pleasure. And
And
I was grateful to be able to mention that this whole concept, this whole notion goes back to my dad, really.
yes,
It's really his,
huh,
because he was the one who plucked me out of my pizza whiffy neighborhood and said,
right.
look, I'm going to take you to Europe for several weeks.
Oh my gosh,
And
right.
that did it. It changed my life. So it's really down to him.
So I love that we are acknowledging him. And you want to say his name?
His name is Manny Margolis.
Manny Margolis. And it's also another pro for why education is really travel is a big piece of anybody's education. Yeah.
It is indeed.
And I don't know why you won't take a group of people to Italy, but I understand you have other things to do. So
I'd miss too much business.
I know. Someday I might tap you on the shoulder. Well, thank you
Okay.
again. Everyone, please turn in for next month where I get to talk. I'm so lucky to talk to another heroine. So I hope you'll join me again. Have a great journey, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the podcast for real life heroines. Your time and presence mean the world to us. If you're hungry for more inspiration and ready to craft your own heroine story, connect with Susanna outside of the show. Visit SusannaLillard.com to discover her courses and programs designed to empower you on your journey. Until next time, may your days be filled with the courage and strength of a true heroine. Stay inspired.